Thanks for tuning in to the Just Go Play podcast, where we look to develop and promote a positive youth sports experience. As always, we are available for speaking and private engagements and can be reached at info@justgoplay.ca. You can also catch full video versions of our podcast on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to visit us at justgoplay.ca. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Just Go Play podcast, where we talk about everything that you need to know about creating quality sport experiences. Podcast number 1, we're coming out of the gates. Matt Young, Daryl Devonish. Daryl, you and I both know that it's always important to start with the why. We want to let our audience know why we're doing this, who we are, what we hope to achieve. So let's start off with you, brother. Why are you here? Why are we doing this?
Matt, thanks. First of all, sport is what I built my whole life around. And in fact, sports saved my life. And when I say it, I don't know what the hell I would have been if it weren't for sport. Listen, when I was a kid, they told me I wasn't smart. They told me I wasn't good in school, but I was good at sports. They told me I was special ed. But sports is where I got my confidence. It's where I got my self-esteem from. It was the one thing that kept me out of trouble, because God knows what I would have been doing if I wasn't playing sports. It was that place where I met some great coaches and mentors that taught me about being a good teammate, about work ethic, about how to lead people. And those were the guys, I wanted to be just like those guys. And that's sort of the path I went on, was I wanted to be these guys because they changed my life. Sport is the reason I got to go to a private school. Sport's the reason I got into university, because it kept me on that track. If I didn't do well in school, I couldn't play sports. So it was that the whole time along, it was that thing sort of pulling me along. I had some great mentors, and I got into university where I went there for kinesiology, and went on to teachers college. And my first job, I was supposed to be in high school, but they gave me grade school kids. And it's a blessing now, because working with those grade school kids forced me how to learn the fundamentals, and how to teach them, and things that I took for granted. I had to learn. I had to rethink, because wait a minute, these kids don't even know how to run. These kids can't catch. They can't throw. So it forced me as a teacher to sort of break things down, micro progress things. From there, from being an educator, I went on to be a strength conditioning coach, which that was the breaking point for me, where I got the opportunity to work with pro athletes, Eric Lindros, Max Domi, Tyler Toffoli, and many more. But I would have never seen those things. You know what I mean? And the lessons I learned from working with high level people and then coming back and working with kids, it was amazing. That's who I am. That's where I am today. It was that thing that, it forced me to sort of look now at how people are being coached, what's going on in the sports system. And, I coached a lot of kids in basketball, hockey, soccer. And, I was one of those demanding coaches, but I always made it fair and I made it fun. So I wanted to give back now to all these parents and coaches. And I also got a confession why I'm also doing this, that I'll tell you in a minute. But first of all, I saw this pattern happening in sports, Matt. Kids weren't having fun anymore. Kids were dropping out, they're quitting, having horrible experiences, parents coming to me going, what the hell's going on? And I was like, you know what, man, it shouldn't be like this. Sports is supposed to be fun. And they weren't fun for many kids. And, to my confession now was I started coaching my own kids, and I started giving them a hard time, and I know better. I was, questioning their effort, challenging them and saying, come on, are you going as hard as you should have? Like, can you go, I thought you could go harder than that, or is that the best you can be? And my kids started sort of avoiding me in the car. They didn't want to talk. They didn't want to talk about it. And the worst part about it all is I know better. So I want to give back, and I want to help parents understand, and coaches, that stuff doesn't work. That's why I'm in this. Sport has allowed me to help consult with, the NHL. It's helped me be in documentaries, Run Revolution, The Cost of Winning. And now it's my time to give back. And that's why I'm even starting this podcast with you, Matt, is because I want to give back.
Yeah, I love that.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
It's very similar to you, same path. I mean, sport is supposed to be a dress rehearsal for real life. Kids need that dress rehearsal for real life. You can't just show up on the job without any pre-existing training and be plopped right in there. And that's what we're doing by creating what you talked about, these unpleasant experiences. Less and less kids are participating in sport. And we know that the stats are all there. The stats don't lie. Where do parents go to get information that can be trusted? It's really hard if they're asking the coach of a team, because does that coach really have the best interest of the kid at heart, or do they just want that kid to be on their team so they can win a banner or win a championship or make some money? When I went out there into the sport landscape, I saw the same things that you saw. I saw an opportunity to bring the fun back to sport, and I saw a lot of things that weren't going well in sport. And what I didn't see was an area, one place where people could come, no frills, grassroots, just two guys talking back and forth, and deliver quality sport experience advice. People who have nothing no vested interest in anyone else's kid. We're not sponsored by anybody. We're not trying to direct anyone down one pathway or the other pathway. We're just here to be really, really open and honest, answer people's questions, connect them with experts in the industry, and really say, this is what quality sport experiences should look like. All of our podcasts are with guests, and they're based on questions that we get from the audiences. And I really like it because it just hasn't been there. There hasn't been a trusted area and a resource where people can go and say, hey, listen, I got a question. Who's going to give me an honest, simple answer to that sport question? And that's why I was excited when you said, hey, let's do this Just Go Play podcast. I mean, Just Go Play, isn't that the whole foundation like you talked about? And I hate to date ourselves by saying back when, but really, that's all we did. We just went and played. We weren't doing things for a specific reason to please our parents or to win something or to get a scholarship. We were doing it because it was innately enjoyable. It was fun. And that's where we were learning some of the things about the fundamental movement skills that you touched on. We were learning things like winning, losing, communication, feedback, victory, defeat. So really, I want to give back to and get us back on track to a better pathway in sport, where we can actually be, very open with kids. We can be honest with parents. We can be honest with stakeholders about, hey, listen, this is what sport's supposed to look like. This is what it's supposed to be.
Wow. So these are only going to be 15 minutes long?
Yeah, I think the format, why I like the format is because, like you and I talked, we just want to give simple advice for people that they can take and go. People don't want to necessarily listen to an hour and a half of speaking and the same thing over and over again. Get in, give the point. How we've structured it is we've gone to all of our experts based on the questions that we get, and we've said, hey, listen, these are 3 questions we're going to ask you. They answer the 3 questions, and then we're going to end with 3 takeaways that people can immediately use in their sport experience with their kids, with their teams, with their coaches, with their associations and organizations. They can immediately implement to make that sport experience better.
So no fluff. That's what I love most about this. It's going to be 15 minutes, no fluff, stuff that you can take away right away and implement today, not tomorrow, or it's like right away. One of the things we talked about, and again, dating ourselves back in the day, pay for play. Right now, I can't send my kid somewhere and say, hey, man, go learn how to play basketball or go learn how to play hockey or soccer or volleyball, whatever that is, because they're not getting into school. So that's the other biggest why for me was, how does someone, find out how their kid can play, or like, who's going to answer those questions for a parent who's like, man, I'd love my kid to learn how to play this, or where do I start? or what's a quality experience versus a not, like, parents just don't know out there, Matt. Like, that's what I'm excited to get out of these podcasts and the experts. Unbelievable lineup we have.
Yeah, I know. And I don't want to tip the hat off too early to show, but I mean, we've got some of the best in the business from across the world through our collective and our networks. And what's really great is it's not the same voices all the time. So we're going to hear different perspectives. We're going to hear both sides of the coin. We've got one guy who talks about early sports specialization. Is it too specialized? Is it not too specialized? Well, does it have to be one or the other? How do you know? So that kind of information is going to go back and forth. So it's not an opportunity just to bash this current system and what's going on. It's an opportunity to say, hey, listen, this is what we see. And based on what we see, this is what we can start doing. So like you, I'm really excited to start getting into the conversations with some of these experts and really start delivering information to the parents. You hit on it earlier. It was a fantastic point. We just don't know what we don't know sometimes. And, it's important as sports stakeholders because really we wear different titles: coach, parent, educator, official, administrator, athlete. But we're all the same things. We need the same things. A good coach can be a good parent. The same tools and resources and strategies that a coach uses are some of the things that parents can use, officials can use, educators can use. So we're trying to break the walls and break the silos of putting everyone in their own little place and saying, you're a parent, go sit over there. We'll talk to your kid. Don't talk to us for 24 hours. If we want to tell you something, we'll communicate. Well, come on. That's not any way to engage anyone in a quality sport experience. And that's what's happening. We really want parents to be informed. We want officials to have a voice. We want coaches to get continued education so they can get better, so they can know what the expectations are. We want to include the athletes in this whole thing. I mean, you and I talk about it all the time. The athletes are the primary consumer. It's like they don't even have a voice. We don't even tell them, well, here are 5 things you should be doing to make sure you're having a quality sport experience. Here are 5 things you can do to ask your coach about how the season is going to progress. Here are 5 ways you can handle your parents if you feel there's too much pressure. So really want to include the athletes in their journey, start reprioritizing them as the focus, not the celebrity coach, not the club or association with the cachet because they're winning all the banners. The athletes first. And you and I talk about this all the time, athletes first. So really excited to get down to that. I know I'm starting to get off topic here, but that's our why. That's why we're doing it. We are 2 people that are passionate about sport. We're passionate about the reason for sport, the rationale for sport, and we really want to drive and share that passion with as many people as possible.
And most importantly, Matt, we want to make it fun again. Like, we're going to you're going to hear that theme throughout our talks here, is making it fun again. Because I don't know why, but there's a lot of people can't associate fun with getting better, with development. It's got to be hard. You got to be tough and strict, and it's got to be an unpleasant experience. It doesn't have to be that way. And you've taught me a lot about that. I for a moment, I forgot that, it's got to be hard. I learned the hard way. You know what I mean? But I didn't. I forgot about all the fun I had, and I love going to practice, and I love playing just for fun in the schoolyard. So fun is going to be an underlying theme that you guys are going to hear over and over and over from us here. So, you know what? Not too many people talk about fun in sports. They don't, we're going to bring that back. So on that note, where are we, man? I think we're up at our 15 minutes here.
Yeah, our 15 minutes is fast approaching. So let's cut it off there. Let's get ready for our first podcast, which will be the 5 reasons for the decline of participation in youth sport. That's coming up next. We're going to give people some insight about what those things are and, more importantly, how they can best manage them to create quality sport experiences. So in the meantime, everyone's got to get off their devices, head outside, pick up a ball, racket, stick, anything, and just go play.
I love it, brother. This is going to be awesome.
See you next week.